Hi, it's Chen. Before the world was properly divided into countries and cities, before ships and airplanes allowed us to easily travel from one continent to another, there were ancient civilizations that thrived in ways none of us could even fathom. But for reasons still unknown, they simply vanished. And archaeologists the world over are still scrambling to find out why. So in this video, we're gonna cover the top 5 civilizations that mysteriously vanished. Number 5, the Indus Valley Civilization. It was the most widespread of the big 3 civilizations of the old world, along with Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt. It had a highly urbanized territory with at least 100 cities that were so well mapped out, it was considered more superior than some contemporary civilizations. And yet, no one can confirm what happened to its over 5 million people. The Indus Valley, or Harappa Civilization, was first discovered in 1921 in Harappa at the Punjab region. Its territory is said to span across parts of India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iran. Excavations show this civilization existed as early as 5000 BCE and rose to its peak at around 2500 to 2000 BCE. They enjoyed advanced city life, with communities well equipped with bathrooms, wells, and underground drainage systems, among others. Although self-sufficient, academics found Sumerian documents proving that they had some sort of commercial and religious contact with the Near East, which is said to have stopped around 1800 BCE, the estimate time of their decline. One theory says that the Indus Valley's decline was caused by a massive Aryan migration, which was then considered an invasion. Archaeologists never found any evidence to say that the peaceful Harappans ever had a military or even arms to defend their cities, and so they might have easily been overpowered by the Aryans. However, one glaring fact disputes this claim. The Aryans are estimated to have arrived at the Indus Valley around 1500 BCE, 300 years after the Harappa civilization is said to have disappeared. Some historians argue that the more possible cause was climate change. They say continuous rain caused the Saraswati River to overflow and flood the surrounding villages. Yet others believe the opposite, that the river actually dried up, removing their main source of water. Researchers have yet to confirm which theory holds true or if there might have been other reasons for Harappa's decline. Although widely found on pottery, amulets, stamp seals, and copper tables, historians have yet to understand their language. And until someone actually deciphered these symbols, the reason for this vibrant civilization's decline will continue to remain a mystery. Number 4, the Khmer Empire. From 802 CE to 1431 CE, this great empire ruled over most of Southeast Asia. At its peak, it spanned much of Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, and southern Vietnam. Back in the 7th century, the Great Mekong River, the 7th longest in Asia, was surrounded by various territories and small kingdoms that were always at war with each other. This was until a man named Jayavarman II led a series of campaigns that vanquished these petty kingdoms and united them into one powerful empire. The empire built its capital in Angkor and continually expanded throughout the years. They were great builders and are widely known for creating monumental temples, the greatest of which still stands today and is a popular destination for tourists from around the world. The Khmers are also known as genius engineers after successfully creating an extensive network of water control systems to sustain its vast farmlands. That's approximately 3,000 kilometers of canals and reservoirs that took advantage of the Mekong River and the monsoonal climate in the region. Angkor's original name was Yashodharapura, literally meaning glory-bearing city, and at its height, it was the biggest city in the world, close to the size of modern-day Los Angeles. So why did it collapse? No concrete evidence has ever been found to factually answer this question, but researchers believe that interrelated political and natural factors ultimately brought the empire down. Studies show that the empire was constantly concerned with putting down rebellions, mainly from nobles conspiring to take over the crown. It is believed that this internal unrest weakened the empire. On the 3rd spot, the Clovis Culture. Named so after the artifacts found near Clovis, New Mexico, they are believed to be the first human inhabitants of the New World, who lived around 13,500 years ago. Their remains were first identified in 1932. Since then, archaeologists have found numerous Clovis sites across the US, Mexico, and Central America. The most common artifacts found representing this culture is the Clovis point. Distinctive spearheads used to hunt large game. They are indeed regarded as skilled big game hunters and foragers, and archaeologists have actually uncovered several mammoth remains mixed with Clovis points. More than the meat they got from these animals, which could have fed them for weeks, their various parts were also really useful to this ancient culture. Their hides, tusks, tusks, bones, and pelts were most probably used for clothing, shelter, and household tools. It is widely believed that mammoths, ground sloths, and giant bisons were already dwindling in numbers during the time of the Clovis culture. The question is whether the people were the actual cause of their total extinction, or was there something else? 12,800 years ago, the Earth underwent an extreme cooling period called the Younger Dryas, which coincided with the extinction of large game animals and the demise of the Clovis people. This is a fact, but what caused this phenomenon is the real mystery. The theory is that a 4-kilometer comet crashed on Earth and ultimately resulted in the huge climate change. This was based on a carbon-rich black layer found on several sites across North America. Number 2, the Olmec Civilization. It is Mesoamerica's first great civilization, which thrived along Mexico's Gulf Coast from 1200 to 400 BCE. They had an organized writing system and a calendar that were later adapted by succeeding cultures such as the Mayans and the Aztecs. They were traders and they were able to establish connections with contemporary civilizations across Mesoamerica. Above all, they were excellent stonemasons and sculptors, widely known for carving colossal heads out of huge basalt boulders. Buried for nearly 3,000 years for reasons still unknown, 17 of them have been unearthed from the two most important cities of the Olmec Civilization, San Lorenzo and La Venta, which can now be found in the modern-day Mexican states of Veracruz and Tabasco. San Lorenzo is believed to have flourished on a large island by the river from 1200 to 900 BCE. As it was declining, it was then replaced by La Venta, which prospered for another 500 years. In 400 BCE, La Venta collapsed and took the whole civilization with it. So what happened? Scholars have theorized a number of causes: disease, war, famine, natural disasters, and relocation, among many others. Their greatest hypothesis is that human actions combined with natural ecological changes ultimately caused its demise. But since no records or even graves have ever been uncovered, researchers could only theorize. And finally, number 1, the Minoan Civilization. Some 2,000 years ago, Plato wrote about Atlantis, a mysterious civilization swallowed by sea, never to be seen again. For 2 millennia, we all thought that was a myth, but archaeologists have uncovered evidence that might answer this mystery. Around 3000 BCE, the Minoan became the first great European civilization and also created the first ever written European language, now called Linear A. The advanced society of artisans, merchants, and engineers thrived at the Greek island of Crete. They invested highly on maritime trade and defense. They had a great troupe of shipbuilders and sailors. The Minoans are said to have been very enigmatic people. They worshipped snake priestesses and engaged in human sacrifice. Their most notable king, Minos, ruled at the peak of the civilization. His leadership, though great, is clouded with controversy. It is the basis of Greek mythology's Minotaur, a half-bull, half-man that ate human flesh. Historians say that little girls and boys from Athens were often offered as sacrifice. Now, distinguishing the mythological King Minos from the real one has always been a problem for researchers, but what they find more mind-boggling is how this powerful civilization came to an end. Around 1600 BCE, the most powerful volcanic eruption ever witnessed occurred around 100 miles off the island of Crete. Mount Thera's eruption was felt all the way in China, and it changed weather patterns in Greece and neighboring countries for years. Historians believe this explosion caused the sudden demise of the Minoan civilization. The only problem was very few volcanic ashes from the explosion were discovered in Crete. And the more glaring fact is, the Minoan civilization disappeared only some 50 years after Mount Thera's eruption. However, modern studies show that while the explosion did not cause the Minoan civilization's downfall, the aftershocks might have. Uncovered soil sediments could prove that the eastern and northern coasts of Crete were swallowed by waves and waves of 50-meter tsunamis that followed the eruption. Soil samples showed deep-sea microorganisms and species that have no way of making it inland unless a massive flow of water brought them there. And as to why the Minoan culture only disappeared decades later, well, Crete is a big island, and historians say it is highly possible that the tidal waves only eradicated the eastern and northern shores, leaving the rest of the island intact. However, with their maritime fleet gone, the Minoans became easy prey for invaders who took advantage of the island's weakened defenses to finally take over. And now archaeologists are desperate to know whether these new findings have anything to do with Plato and the mythical Atlantis. And the thing with these grand civilizations disappearing is the fact that these are the only ones that we really know of. And throughout all the hundreds of thousands of years of undocumented history, we really have no clue how many civilizations actually thrived and then disappeared. And we have even discovered clues of really advanced ancient civilizations from even millions of years ago. I know that sounds kind of wacky, but guys, check out the evidence for yourself. I'll put some links for you guys in my description box. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I'll see you later.